Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
Hey, thanks for the download. Thanks for the listen. Songwriter Connection podcast. You got to check out this band I discovered on Spotify this morning. They're called the Snyderville Electric Band. And the lead singer and guitar player is our guest on this show today. Check this out. It's a great song.
Get up, but leave the lights off. Get your clothes, get your bag. Tell your mama we went to Dallas. Tell yourself we're not coming back.
Song is called The Man That Rides the Hard Wind. Hal ODell is our guest. Tell me about that band. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave.
The Snyderville Electric Band. Was there a place called Snyderville?
Yes, it was. It's funny that when I was in that band, I was living in Park City, Utah, and there's a little wide spot in the road outside of Park City called Snyderville.
Okay.
And there's just something musical about the name Snyderville.
There is.
One of the guys in the band lived right near there at the time, and so when we got the band going, and we're scratching around for a name, and sort of settled on Snyderville, and
That's cool.
I
think it's catchy.
Yes, it's a real place.
Real place. Population?
Oh, few hundred.
Few hundred. I lived in Cincinnati, and down the river in Kentucky, there was a small town called Rabbit Hatch.
Rabbit Hatch.
Yeah.
Nice.
Where the mayor was a dog. They elected a dog mayor.
You can't make that up.
You can't make that stuff up. But it was a really cool community with music and everything. Hal ODell is my guest. Hal, you've been here a few years. It seems like you've been here forever. You are so entrenched in the songwriting community here. So many great songs when I hear you in rounds. In fact, we do a thing at the 12 Keys Saloon in Hermitage here. And Hal was the very first guy to play a song there in the round, and they can't take that away from you.
Exactly. Can't take that away from me.
No. In fact, he even wrote our theme song, which I posted online a few times. Everybody loves to hear him sing Wednesday night at 12 Keys, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit later on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you've been around. You were in Oklahoma City and to Utah, and that was snow country, right?
Exactly. That was snow country. That was what I tell people. We moved out there chasing music, mountains, and snow, and we found them all.
And of course, your website is still Hal in the Mountains.
It is HalInTheMountains.com.
Check it out. Go there. You'll hear a lot of great music. Yeah. And we're going to get into your writing styles and everything and into your music. But I want to play one of your recorded songs because this is great production. This is called $4 Weed, and I've heard you play this at the 12 Keys and other places. It's a great song, so let's give this a listen. Hal ODell, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Then we're going to do some live music. Get your guitar out.
Blow sand in gullies, low rolling hills. The wind always pushing, nothing stands still. It's almost a garden a lot of the years, but the desert beneath it, it's always right here. $4 wheat, $4.50 to grow, stretched on the rack of God's holy plan. It took half a life, but finally I know it. He holds the rich in the palm of his hand. He holds the rich in the palm of his hand. Banked on the rain like blood from a stone. I banked on the next year till the credit was gone. The bank took the farm in the spring of '05, and I took a job at the Tractor Supply. $4 wheat, $4.50 to grow it, stretched on the rack of God's holy plan. It took half a life, but finally I know it. He holds the rich in the palm of his hand. He holds the rich in the palm of his hand. I still feel November like steel on my skin. I still smell the sage and the curls of the wind. But I don't raise nothing, I just stare at these walls. And I'm nothing but wet when the rain finally falls. $4 wheat, $4.50 to grow it, stretched on the rack of God's holy plan. It took half a life, but finally I know it. He holds the rich in the palm of his hand. He holds the rich in the palm of his hand. Oh, he holds the rich in the palm of his hand.
That is such a beautiful song, and Hal ODell is our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. The production of that is absolutely amazing. Oh, the violins, all of that is just a great song. So, Hal, thanks for being on the show and being with us.
My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about the production of that. Who's spinning the dials?
So the producer there is a guy named Dave Smith here in town, who is he historically for the last several years has toured with Toby Keith as his utility player and background vocalist. And when he's not touring with Toby, he's sometimes touring with Lee Greenwood. And when he's not doing one of those two things, he's at home doing demos and song production and
just a normal everyday.
Just a normal, just a living that life. And then the steel player is a guy named Bruce Boughton.
Beautiful.
Who has, I think, played steel on every Garth Brooks album.
Wow.
And then the fiddle player is a super friend of mine named Megan Allen.
Wow. She's incredible.
She is.
That whole track is absolutely beautiful. And you can find that in howlinthemountains.com, your webpage. Great song. Now, I want to talk about the song itself because we always like the stories behind it. Did you come from a farming background?
I didn't grow up in a farming background, but I grew up spending a lot of time in the country. And then during the time that we lived in Oklahoma City, we had and lived on a ranch for several years.
Wow. Okay.
And the big thing for me there is I have a friend and mentor who was born and raised in the panhandle of Oklahoma, and I spent a lot of time, worked with him for many years. He still had a family ranch out there, and so I spent a lot of time with him. And when you drive across that part of the world, you see ranches, and you also see quite a few little abandoned homesteads. And those are people that dusted out or just didn't make it, and the farms were absorbed into bigger farms. And so that was really the inspiration for this song, was the sad reality of not making it and having to change directions.
Selling wheat for $4. At $4.50 to grow it. Yes.
Exactly. And I knew that, some of the nuts and bolts of the agricultural life aren't known to people, but it's pretty clear that if you're spending $4.50 to make it and you're selling it for $4,
yep,
it's not going to last.
It's not going to last. Yeah, that's not good math. That's for sure. Yeah. Kari Phillips, right? Kari Phillips, right? She's a singer-songwriter around this town. And
I know the name, but I don't know her.
She has a ranch, and they call the Honky Tonk Holler. And we've been writing a few times, and she was telling me about life on the ranch and how hard it is, And I told him, I said to her one day, I said, it's not easy being country, is it? She goes, no, let's write that.
No.
So we wrote that song. But anyway,
it's a great way to live, tough way to make a living.
Tough way to make a living, yeah. So, well, let's talk about you. What brought you to Oklahoma? Where are you from originally?
Well, you go all the way back. I was born in northeast Alabama or north central Alabama, Jasper, Alabama.
Okay, good. Okay,
and
So, are you a Roll Tide or
I am a Roll Tide.
All right, you don't want to mix that up down there. You get in trouble.
No. You got to choose. And my dad actually played for Alabama in the '60s.
Did he really?
So yeah, we were definitely born and bred Roll Tide.
Cool. Pretty cool. He played for him. Huh?
He did. He played for Bear Bryant. So he worked his whole life for Goodyear and moved around the country eventually. And so we lived in Tennessee for a few years, ended up living in Kansas, and that's how I ended up out there in the flyover part of the country. Which is sort of what feels like home to me.
Yeah.
So lived in Kansas for a long time, ended up moving to Oklahoma City and lived there for 20-something years.
Yeah. You had a practice there?
I did. I
radiologist, right?
Went to medical school in Kansas and went and did my training in Oklahoma City and then for a year in Birmingham, Alabama.
Wow.
Spent 20 years practicing radiology in Oklahoma City and playing the guitar at night and singing in the shower.
So you kept your musical roots active.
That's right. Kept the fire was low, but it was always burning.
It was always in the back of your mind.
That's right.
So you decided to retire and make it the thing, huh?
I did. We had talked for some time about what we, how we saw life going, and we had spent time in the mountains around Park City through the years. Spent a lot of time out there skiing and hiking and fishing.
That's beautiful country. Huh?
It is beautiful country. But it's interesting. I had some life changes go on. Had a son get married, and my dad died toward the end of 2014.
Wow.
Which is, and so I never looked at it as a midlife crisis, but it was definitely a little tap on the shoulder saying, Hal, if there are things you want to do, you ought to do them.
Yeah.
So a few months after that, we packed our little ditty bag and moved to Utah, and with the intent of enjoying living in the mountains. And
is that what drew you to the mountains, or did you know from people there, or what
we had a few friends there, but no, we had just spent a lot of winters and summers vacationing out there.
Wow.
And just love the people there and love the climate and love the country. And
I've always heard that was a beautiful state. Always. Yeah, just gorgeous. Yeah.
So
how long were you there?
We were there 4 years.
4 years.
Lived there 4 years,
but in that time, music really started to grow for you. Didn't it?
Music went through the hobby phase, which lasted about a month, into a full-time deal. And the
band,
the band, Snyderville Electric Band, the two guys that I was fortunate enough to fall in with, drummer named Dan Lynch and a bass player named George Demalski.
I think those are the two most important parts
They
of the
are,
band.
Absolutely.
You got to have a groove.
And I was the lead guitarist and the lead singer. The lead guitarist, the only guitarist. We were a three-piece band.
Like ZZ Top, right?
Like ZZ Top.
Yeah.
but
only different.
we would love to have been really like ZZ Top.
Who wouldn't?
But no, it would. Those guys had a lot of experience playing professionally.
Did they?
And so they helped accelerate my learning in a way that I really couldn't have done otherwise. And really, when you get down the road, they helped set the stage for me to be able to come and songwrite and play out and play shows comfortably.
And being the lead guy out front, was that a different thing for you? Or was that like a dream come true?
When we first started that band, we had a lead guitarist, and I was playing rhythm guitar and singing.
Okay.
And that guy left to do other things, and George and Dan said, "You know what?" Because I was playing lead on some songs just to mix things up. He said, "Why don't we try doing it as a three-piece?" And I said, "Okay, if you're willing, I'm willing." And it was different, but I tell you, it was really enjoyable to be a three-piece band because with only three musicians, everyone's role was integral all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So no one ever got to sort of take a little mental break.
No.
We ended up...
you made a record? You were getting lots of gigs? You were playing out?
We played about 75 shows a year that last year. We're starting to do weddings and corporate gigs. And, it was definitely big fish in a small pond world, but it was pretty sweet for me.
It led to some cool things. You started writing seriously then, didn't you?
I did.
Did you always write before that, or no?
Yes, I did. And actually, I looked back, there were a few songs that I wrote in college and then a song that I would write here and there when the bug struck me. Mm-hmm. But once that band got going, we're playing covers like everybody else does.
Yeah, play the whole cover thing. Yeah.
And I wrote a song or two and brought it to the band, and we massaged it into shape and brought it to life, and thought this is really nice, and played that song or those songs out, and got good response to it, and started writing more songs. And ultimately we were sort of a 50-50 covers and originals band, and that's what we did. And if you hired us for your wedding, that's what you were going to get. That's what you were going to get. And people liked that, and it was more unique out there than it is in Nashville, where so many people do write original songs. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's where I got the bug for writing, and we enjoyed the songs, enjoyed playing them, singing them. Decided to write that album, and as part of that writing process, I started coming back and forth to Nashville to be around writers and to do writing seminars. And
that's how it starts.
That's how it starts. You get sucked in.
You do. Every time you head back, you feel like you're leaving a part of yourself back in Nashville, and eventually that's what happened for us anyway 9 years ago. But anyway, the Snyderville Electric Band record is out there, and you can get it on Spotify.
Absolutely.
And give it a listen. It really is a cool record, man. You guys had a great sound.
Yeah, we were somewhere between Southern rock and blues, and it was a fun thing to do. And,
I'll bet. It sounds like you guys were having fun.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
And I miss those guys. And
we're going to come back to the Nashville journey in just a little bit. But you recently won an award from Songtown, which is a cool organization here in town that helps other songwriters. And tell us about this, because I've seen video of you playing this at the Bluebird Cafe, and I think the Listening Room.
Both, yes.
And you've played it for us at the 12 Keys on our Writers' Nights. It's a very special song. So
it is.
Tell me a bit about that.
Well, so the two people in Nashville that I write with the most, a guy named Zach Hennard, a guy named Greg Wilson.
Great guys.
And we've written almost every Wednesday morning for probably almost 4 years now.
My goodness. That's great.
Yeah, we ultimately cultivated this tremendous friendship and comfort with each other in the writing room. But we had a young artist named Rowdy Shea that we brought in to write with us one day, and Rowdy wanted to write a song about how a man should treat a woman. Mm-hmm. And so we talked our way around that because been a lot of songs written about that subject.
Yeah, cleaning my gun and
exactly.
Yeah.
And so where we ended up is, how does the father communicate to the world, how special that girl is? Mm-hmm. Well, he's got to get them to see her through his eyes. And that's where the song ended up.
I've always heard that's you find an idea like that. You knew what you wanted to write. You examine it, you look at it all different angles, and you decide where you want to put the camera, so to speak. Find that perspective, because that's what you have as a songwriter. And you're very good at imagery and things like that, as we heard in the last song, the $4 Wheat. But what you guys did on this, it's just a masterpiece.
Well, I will tell you, I wish I could remember the guy's name to give him credit for this, because it's certainly not anything that I thought up. But I was told once that you think of a song idea as being in a castle that has windows scattered around it. And your job is to sort of wander around the castle, looking in the windows, and find an interesting window through which you can look at that idea.
That is cool. Love that. That is so true. I think that is one of the best analogies I've heard in a long time. Wow.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard that before, but that's really cool. I think that's what we'll call this episode. Looking in the castle's windows.
Looking in the castle's windows. Yeah.
Well, back to this song. It was Songtown Song of the Year 2022.
It was their country song of the year, and we were really
it's a high honor.
Proud of that recognition. That there are a lot of organizations in town.
Mm-hmm. But this one's run by two pro writers, Marty and Clay. Mm-hmm. Marty Dodson, Clay
Mills.
That's right.
No, it's a fantastic organization, and their focus right down the line is not on making you a star, it's on making you a better songwriter, because that's the gold from which all the other things flow.
Absolutely.
And they keep the focus there, and it was really, they've been really important to me through the last few years of
wonderful. You've learned a lot, huh?
I've learned a ton from them, and even if they gave me money, I still would brag on them, but they don't give me any money. I give them money.
They've got a great podcast too that I listen to from time to time.
Yeah, they do.
So,
the whole thing for songwriters to become better songwriters, it's one of the best organizations, and I was really proud. Like I said, proud to be a part of them, and proud to be recognized, or for that song to be recognized.
Well, let's do this song. We've set it up perfectly, and you looked into the right windows, and you found the perspective. And I think you guys did a wonderful job with this song. It is called what?
This is called More Than Just a Girl.
More Than Just a Girl. The Songwriter Connection podcast with Hal ODell today.
I showed up at her front door. Her dad said, "Come on in. She'll be down in a minute. Let's sit for a second before your date begins." He wasn't cleaning on no shotgun. He didn't try to scare me off. He didn't preach like I expected. He just began to talk. He said, "I cried when she took her first breath. I was there for her first steps. I'll see her in those pigtails every day that I got left. She's my heart, she's my soul, she's the light of my whole world. So remember, when you walk her out that door, she's so much more than just a girl." She's her mama's only daughter, got her grandma's middle name. She came 3 weeks early, already in a hurry, on the day our whole world changed. He said, "I ran beside her first bike. I taught her how to drive. I say I love you way too much, but I mean it every time. She's my heart, she's my soul, she's the light of my whole world. So remember when you walk her out that door, she's so much more than just a girl. As she walked in the room, I stood up and shook his hand. I saw a girl through a father's eyes and began to understand that pretty blonde from English class was so much more than that. Don't believe me? Just ask her dad. He said, I cried when she took her first breath. I was there for her first steps. I'll see her in those pigtails every day that I got left. She's my heart, she's my soul, she's the light of my whole world. So remember when you walk her out that door, please remember she's so much more than just a girl.
There you are. What a powerful song. Hal ODell, our guest.
Thank you.
Yeah, more than just a girl.
More than just a girl.
That song's had such an impact. Not just an award winner, but you get invited to play that a lot, don't you?
Yeah, I guess that one of the blessings of creating music is that it goes out there and it lives and it develops a life of its own. And
doesn't it? Yeah.
That song has been played as a recording at maybe a dozen weddings already since last year when we wrote it. Greg Wilson he went to Kentucky to play it at a wedding. He went to South Carolina to play it at a wedding.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah,
it's good father-daughter dance.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what it gets used for. Is that father-daughter dance?
Oh, yeah.
And we're honored and gratified that it touches people like it does.
Yeah, that's songwriting right there, and that's pay. Some people get measure success by money, some by cool experiences like that.
Oh no, you're dead on, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Let's take a break, and we'll come back more with Hal ODell, our guest on Songwriter Connection podcast.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection, connecting with music makers and hearing their songs and stories. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
We're with Hal ODell. He's our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Pretty cool songwriter in this town. Seems like he's in great demand. You write with a lot of different folks, don't you? You really do.
I do write with a lot of people, and I've been fortunate to find my way into writing with some really good people and really good writers, and I've got a circle of artists that I write with. That
it's good to write with the
it's
artists.
exciting. It is, and that's for me. Songs that are lyric driven are done best when the artist is a part of that, because he's got to sell that story.
Exactly.
And it's got to resonate. If it resonates with him or her, then that artist can sell that song to the audience.
Oh yeah.
And if it's just a song, then it comes across as just a song.
Yeah. More than just a song.
More than, I like that.
Well, anyway. I digress.
We'll give you credit. We'll give you credit for that.
I'll write that down. Hal ODell, our guest. And boy, I tell you, you were talked about Atlanta or Utah and the beautiful mountains and the skiing and the snow country, and it's a gorgeous place. The move to Nashville had to be a tough choice. I mean, from where you were there in God's country to Music City.
It was tough, and it was a little bit of a leap of faith to change directions from, this band that at the small town level we were doing well, we were getting a lot of work and having a lot of fun. I mean, I so appreciate that opportunity to have spent time with those guys making music the way we did. But I felt at the time that the songwriting was something that really worked for me. That I didn't feel good at it necessarily, but I felt like I could be. That there was the potential there.
It was kind of a calling.
There was absolutely a calling,
and also I think you did it right. You know, Mark Allen Barnett, who's been one of the sponsors of the show, and he's been on the show a few times and teaches a lot of songwriting. He says it a lot. He tells folks, there are people that will quit their jobs, sell their house, come here with no foreseeable income, and just take their chance and come and do this. And a lot of them, leave in misery. He's like, no, don't do that. Work at it. Or like you and I, we retired and we decided now we're going to, go after that passion that we've had for the music and the songwriting. So you did it right, Bill. You did it right. Yeah.
Look, my hat's off to the people in their 20s that come here on that dream with nothing and chase it as doggedly as I see some of them do. My hat's off to them.
Oh, mine too. I mean, I live in the car for a while, and you've heard this story.
Everything. I write with these people. And I see the things they're willing to endure for that musical dream, and I will tell you, coming from, like you work and you have a career and then you come do this, the danger that I perceived, and I still believe this, was to be looked at as someone that's just playing at it, doing it as a hobby.
Yeah.
And so I committed from the day that I came here that I'm going to give this all the attention, time-wise, energy-wise, that I ever gave my career as a physician.
And we know how hard you worked.
I did. Get to that. And because what I wanted and what I still want out of this music career is to be a peer of these people in this town full of magically talented songwriters and artists.
It's just so incredible, isn't it?
It's
everywhere you go.
Unreal.
There's amazing talent. We were in Alabama last week, just as an example, and we went to an open mic, and I couldn't believe the difference between what we see here in Nashville to what we saw down there. It's quite a difference. Not only in style, but quality of song and performance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know that to a lot of you that may sound like a Nashville ego talking, but I really think it's true. I really do.
Well, it's, you take this country and you take so many of the people that have the talent and the drive and the desire, and you have a move to this town, and
they're all stars in their own right in their own communities. Now they come here to the big leagues,
and they work with each other and become better and push each other to be better.
That's what I love about it, just the community here. Yeah,
and so it's not arrogance on the part of people in Nashville. It's just the reality that all so many talented people end up here,
and the proof is in the pudding. I mean, if you visit here to Nashville and you're a songwriter or a performer, just go to one of the open rounds. Go to the songwriter rounds are everywhere. They're the Commodore, the Maxwell House, the Listening Room. If you can get into the Bluebird, good luck. 12 keys, and you're going to hear. You will notice a difference in not only the songs and the styling, but the performance as well. Now, not every songwriter is a great performer, and so let me say that too. And that's fine, but they can still sell that song to an audience. They've learned how to do that.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting thing about songwriter rounds in Nashville. Like you say, it's really pleasing to hear someone who's both a good writer and a good performer. But you can appreciate the person that he can carry a tune just far enough to sell you his song. But you listen to the song, and you hear the
imagery, the furniture.
That's right.
The stories, the way they paint pictures of words. Basically, is what they do, and they're able to do that. It's pretty interesting. Let me ask you this: so you come here to Nashville, and first writers round that you played. A little intimidating? Was it a little different? The first one you watched?
The first one that I played at was at the Commodore, and I was here for a conference and went downstairs. You know, Commodore Grill's in the main floor of that Holiday Inn over on West End. And
Near Vanderbilt. Yeah.
That's right by Vanderbilt. So I go down there, and they had an open mic at the end of their writers' rounds, and so I'm going to go there and listen and sign up and
see if you can get in.
For some reason, a guy named Billy Lee was running the round that night instead of Debbie, champion. And I said, "Oh, I'd like to play in the open mic." He said, "Well, there's a chair up on stage. Why don't you just go on out there and play?"
No kidding.
Yes. And,
wow.
And I said, "Well, okay." And you know, you play in a open mic night. Usually, you play your one song and go sit down. But this was, you know, this was just getting to go up in the round, and I played 3 or 4 songs.
Did you?
So yeah, it was probably good for me to just get thrown in before I pondered what it was going to be like.
Billy just threw you right in.
He just said, "Well, go on. The chair's empty." I said, "Oh, okay."
Were you nervous?
Not so much, and
because you've played before people, but
that was the big difference for me, and that's why I had said earlier that it was a blessing to have those years in Snyderville Electric Band with those guys. Yeah, I had been on stage hundreds of times. You know, sometimes you're in a bar playing for 20 people, and sometimes we had shows that had 400 or 500 people out.
Yeah, wow.
And so I had become comfortable being in front of people, and that.
But all of a sudden, you're stripped down with just you and a guitar.
Well, that's right. That's the difference. There's no one to hide behind.
Yeah, you and the mic.
It was good, and that honestly, you know, there are a lot of reasons to play writers' rounds, but to me, one of the reasons for me, it sort of feeds your soul as a performer still. And I try to play a house show or a private concert or some sort of concert once every month or so because I like to perform and I like to sell these songs.
And you get immediate feedback, which is really cool. And I come from the radio industry. You never got immediate feedback. 2 weeks later, somebody says, "Hey, I listened to your show and you did that one bit," and you go, "Oh, wow, okay." Nice. But when you're playing a song for somebody, whether it be a private party or on stage at the Commodore Grill, you get instant feedback. You know what's working, what isn't.
That's right.
Don't you?
You can see when you've got them, and you can see when you've lost
when you
them.
Don't. Picking up the phones, and you see the phone.
That's right. That's right. You see the top of their heads.
Right. It's a wonderful art, isn't it? Yeah. How about we do another song? Okay. I know you're ready for one, and and I think I know which one you want to play next, and you got your harmonica there.
Yeah. So. This, let me just set it up a little bit.
Please.
A friend of mine in town that I've written with for a couple of years, a guy named John Frank. We've written a lot of songs.
John's talented, man.
John is a talented guy. And, I'm more towards the roots country, neo-traditional country side of music. John is definitely more toward the pop country side.
Oh, yeah.
He's really talented at writing what he writes. But for some reason, he and I click, and he brought this idea into the writing room. He and I were writing, and he brought it in, and I said, "John, this is maybe the best roots country hook I have ever had the chance to write."
Really?
And I was excited just to hear it. It took us 3 writing sessions to write that song. Every time we got together, I was more excited about it.
I love that feeling. Yeah.
And if it feels like I'm holding the hook back from you, it's because I am holding the hook back from you.
I love songs like that. It's like telling a good joke.
That's
Pull
right.
the rug out from
That's
under
right.
At the end. Yeah. So
stay for 48 seconds, and you can hear the hook.
You got me captivated.
All right.
Hal ODell, live around the dining room table on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
Empty church, early morning, the sun cutting through that stained glass like a knife. My head hurts, I'm hanging on to this fifth beam. I need to start my day off right. I'm down here at the end of my rope, looking up for a little hope. So Lord, if you're real and you're listening, and you don't think I'm past forgiving, is there something in that Bible to pull me out of this bottle? 'Cause the life I've made, it ain't worth the living. I hope I still belong to you, 'cause if I don't, I'm just a drunk in a church pew. Broken home, broken vows. I broke everything I had. The devil must be proud. I don't know why you take me in. If I were you, I'd hate the man I've been. But Lord, if you're real and you're listening, and you don't think I'm past forgiving, is there something in that Bible to pull me out of this bottle? 'Cause the life I've made, it ain't worth the living. I hope I still belong to you, 'cause if I don't, I'm just a drunk in a church pew. It's the last place I ever thought I'd be, but here I am, down on my knees. So Lord, if you're real and you're listening, and you don't think I'm past forgiving, is there something in that Bible to pull me out of this bottle? 'Cause the life I've made, it ain't worth living. I hope I still belong to you, 'cause if I don't, I'm just a drunk in a church pew. I hope I still belong to you, 'cause if I don't, I'm just a drunk in a church pew.
Hal ODell. I think that's the first time we've had a harmonica and a guitar around the dining room table. It's a great song. The great imagery, too, in that song. You know, lines like the sun cutting through the stained glass like a knife, you know. And
Thank you.
Puts you right there in that pew with that gentleman there. And in we talked about perspective and looking into the windows of the castle. Just it's a conversation with God that he's having.
It is.
Talking to the big man, you know.
You know, and to me, the beauty of this song is also the frightening part. Is this guy who doesn't know if there's something out there for him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's praying out of that place of being afraid that there's nobody out there, but he's praying anyway. And I like that.
Interesting. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I love the fact when you get to co-write a song like that, and I've heard John Frank do it too. And both versions just strike you very hard. And that's a testament to the song. It really is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed this song.
We've got this song that we talked about Zach Hennard earlier, and Greg Matthews, who's a dear friend, lives around the corner. They wrote a song called Bald Tires. And each one of us does it different. We've got our own versions of the song, but you know, but it happens. You know, that's the beauty of co-writing, isn't it?
So everybody in town has a list in their head, and it's a list of songs they wish they'd written.
Yeah.
And that song, "Bald Tires," is
Really?
on my at 100%.
Oh,
it's
come
on my it is on my list of songs that I wish I had written. Bald Tires is on there.
It's going to be on my new record coming out next year. So my version. So your stuff is out there too, right? We can hear it. Where at?
It is. The best place to find it is on my website, halinthemountains.com. And if that whets your appetite and you want to hear more, you can go to soundcloud.com and look for Hal in the Mountains, and
you're going to find him.
There's probably 60 or 70 songs on
Is there really? Okay. Yeah.
You can get the deep tracks there.
The deep tracks. Yeah. One of my favorite radio stations on Sirius XM.
That's right.
Yeah. And Hal in the Mountains, you've got some great songs on there too. You really do. People can listen in. So, hey man, that's a pretty cool story. Do you think we covered it all? Where are you going to go from here? What's the big goal?
My big goal for my music, partly I talked before about having a seat at the table with the talented professionals that I'm getting to know in this town, and having a seat as a peer to some of those people. So that's one goal.
I think you're accomplishing more and more every day.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Trying to make steps every day. Musically, my goal is to be able to go to venues and hear artists do songs that we've written, songs that I've written, and
always a thrill
to hear those songs interpreted. It is. It's an amazing thrill. You had talked about this.
Yeah, it's just happened for us. Over the weekend.
So an artist that I've written with a lot, is a guy named Ben Jarrell, and he
did a version of Bald Tires.
He did a version of Bald Tires on his last album.
It's like the fourth different version.
I'm telling you that song is a song. It's a proper song, as friends of mine say.
I know you write a lot with Ben, and he's really a cool artist.
Yeah.
One of that outlaw kind of country.
He is definitely an old school guy, but he had an artist showcase, full band show at the Bluebird this last week, and played, I'd say he played 10 or 11 songs, and I had co-written maybe 8 of those with him.
Wow, what a feeling.
And so to sit in the audience and hear those songs interpreted, by him in the full band setting.
And that band is hot, let me tell you.
He's got a talented band. He's a talented cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just special. And so, look, I loved being an artist at the, here again, big fish in a small pond. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But to hear people that are trying to do it on a big scale, do your songs out in the world, that's what does it for me, man. It
is the rush, isn't it? Let me tell you.
And then if we go farther out into the future, it's going to be to play writers' rounds and play those songs and have people say, "Oh, that's a Ben Jarrell song," and I say, "Yeah, that is." But Ben and I wrote that song, so yeah, because that. And if you're hearing this and you're not in Nashville, you might not be familiar with going to writers' rounds where there are actual hit writers playing.
I just had that experience this past weekend in Alabama. Went to the Frank Brown Music Festival, which I've been hearing about for years and years. Finally, Patty and I said, we're just going to go and experience it. And you're right. When you hear a song that you recognize, guys like Brian White, who says he's going to be on this show next year, and I'm looking forward, who wrote with Steve Dean, I've Been Watching You. He tells the story about it, and you hear that song. Or, a guy like Tom Connors, who I never knew, but his first song out, Tommy plays this song that I absolutely love. And from the first 2 lines, I recognized it as a Bobby Pinson song from his album. And I believe it was the title cut. That's who I thought I was. And that was my favorite album that year, country album that came out that year. And here's the guy who wrote it. And I don't think anybody else in the room had the same impact I did. And after the show, I said, "Hey, man, I love that. That was Bobby Pinson, right?" He goes, "Oh yeah, you know that song?" And I go, "Yeah, man, that was one of my favorites, So yeah, it's cool, And I'll tell you another quick story. We went into Floribama, which is this bar that we've talked about on the show before with Chad Wilson. We went in to see Chad, and the guy playing before him, there was 2 guys with him, The place was packed, and he commanded this audience, and he was an older guy. And I didn't know who he was. And Chad goes, well, you keep an eye on him. His name's Mark Sherrill. And he goes, he's written a big song you're going to know. And his last song of the night, sure enough, it was Old Red.
Oh, you're kidding.
Old Red, which is also done by Johnny Cash and Kenny Rogers, but everybody knows the Blake Shelton version. And you're like, wow, that's the dude that wrote that song. And it's a brilliant song. So yeah, that's the rush of being a songwriter.
And the flip side of that.
Yeah.
This is probably, it would have been 2 or 3 years ago. I was during Americana Fest, went to a writer's round that Jeff Cohen was putting on. Jeff's a songwriter and is an artist. Anyway, he has these people up here playing and singing, and he gets to the end, and this young woman playing, and he said, here's Ingrid Andress. You probably don't know who she is. But this song she's going to play for you, you're going to be hearing it.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here
breaking More Hearts Than Mine.
That's right, More Hearts Than Mine.
Yeah.
And
what an impact song.
And she plays this thing, and you're like, holy smoke.
There's the bar.
And so then to see it start to appear, 6 or 8 months later when it finally worked its way through. Yeah, it's
absolutely.
It's just cool. It's cool to see, that far behind the song.
Right. We were really fortunate bringing songwriters up to Cincinnati. We did songwriter festivals. We had a great NSAI group there. And I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast before, but 2 things that really stick in my mind. One of my favorite writers, Win Varble, came and visited us, and Win said, Brad Paisley's going to cut this song. And this is years before it became a hit. He played Waiting on a Woman. And when he got to that part about, sitting on a park bench and, if they got any, and he doesn't mind waiting on a woman, we about dropped our beers. You were like, that's brilliant songwriting. And then the other thing, Will Nance, who's also going to be on this show coming up, Will wrote a song about his wife that Brad Paisley recorded. Of course, he changed some of the words so it was more about his wife and not Will's wife, and I can't wait to have Will tell you this story. But it was She's Everything. And again, we heard that, he said, yeah, this is going to be a single. And we heard it, a year and a half or so before it was a hit. And so those are the magic songwriting moments. So, and you never know, Hal. I got a feeling that somebody will pick up that song, More Than Just a Woman. And maybe people listening to this podcast will go, I remember listening to that before that was a hit. And anyway, I hope that's the case for you. That's my wish for you.
From your lips to God's ears.
How about you play a song to take us out, man? I've certainly enjoyed our conversation.
No, it's been fun, Dave. Thank you for the opportunity to talk.
Pleasure.
And
my pleasure. Hal ODell. And by the way, there's no apostrophe between the O and the D. Or is there?
All right. This is complicated, as so many things are. Is
there a song in this?
No, there's no song in this. Used to be, it didn't matter what characters your name had in because you were writing them in with a pencil or a pen. But in this computer age, sometimes they don't let you have an apostrophe, and sometimes they do. And I just made an executive decision to take it out.
Take it out.
So it's out. So,
O capital D.
O capital D.
ELL. Look him up.
Hal in the Mountains.
Hal in the Mountains.
All right. So I'll take you out with a song that I wrote with Greg Wilson.
Brilliant.
And he had this idea about math and how to.
Wait, you said there was going to be no math.
That's right. I said there was going to be no math. You don't have to do. You don't even have to show your work. But it's just making ends meet in a hard part of the world, and this song's called Harlan County Math, and it is what it is. It's about trying to survive in a place that's not set up for that very well. So this is Harlan County Math. 4 miles to the blacktop, 4 more till you get to town. 4 kids and a strung out wife, every step a little deeper down. And every check from the government comes along with a couple of bills. Daytime work, it won't pay them off, but dealing in the nighttime will. So you burn a double tank of minor station gas, driving 80
pounds of Appalachian grass to the far side of Ohio. Every mile on some old back road, you come home with a shoebox full of cash. It all adds up to the only chance I have. That's Harlan County math. Used to be the coal mines, then them backwoods stills. These days it's slinging oxy, and to hell with who it kills. 'Cause there ain't no more jobs, and there ain't nowhere to go, and there ain't no use to praying, 'cause God ain't gonna show. So you burn a double tank of miner station gas, driving 80 pounds of Appalachian grass to the far side of Ohio. Every mile on some old back road, you come home with a shoebox full of cash. It all adds up to the only chance I have. That's Harlan County math. Harlan County math. 100 years of hopeless, ain't no change. See it carved in these lines on my face. When every day is a battle to the death, smell the desperation like whiskey on my breath. Alabama to Ohio, the only thing that I know, what's gone ain't never coming back. Add it up, you'll see the answer draped in black. That's Harlan County math. Harlan County math. Ooh, ooh, Harlan County math. 4 miles to the blacktop, 4 more till you get to town. 4 kids and a strung out wife, ever step a little deeper down.
Hal ODell, and a song written by Greg Wilson. Yes. By the way, he's brilliant, and he was the 4th guest season 1. We were doing it seasons at one time, so and we called that episode the Louisville Slugger. So more on him, you can check that out. Just go back to past episodes. I think it's about time we have him on again because
he is a great friend and he's just unreal. The songs that guy.
It really is. He's one of those 2-3 sessions a day writers, and he never gets tired. And he does this little video series he calls "The Grind Is Real."
That's correct.
Grinds it out every day, man.
Although this week Greg's down on the beach in the Gulf, and so this week the grind is not real. The grind
deserves a little downtime.
It'll be real again next week.
Yeah, down at the beaches of Destin, Florida, which I love. Those green waters.
Greg and I are playing a house show Saturday night.
Yeah.
And then we're playing at a new place in Murfreesboro Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So
what's that one called? Don't know. I asked too many.
No. I'm smart enough to have written it down in a place where I can find it, so I don't have to know.
In Murfreesboro,
Hop Springs Beer Park.
Oh.
So this is a new writers' round put on. Robert Abernathy?
I don't.
Anyway, he's a writer that's usually splits time between Birmingham, Alabama, and here. He's a fantastically talented artist and writer. Anyway, he's Wonderful. Up here. He's putting on this round, and so...
Well, it sounds like there's beer.
That's where we'll be, at the beer park.
You had me at beer. This has been episode 80 on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Join us again next week, all right? And Hal, thank you for being on the show. Appreciate
thanks
you,
for
man.
the chance.
Enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.